Imagine a narrow waterway so small that at some point ships must travel in lanes only a few kilometers wide. Yet this tiny passage controlled nearly 20% of world's oil supply. Now imagine what happens when war, attacks on ships, rising military tensions suddenly threaten this route. Oil prices spike, global markets panic. Governments start preparing for an energy shock, and that place is called Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway located between Iran and Oman and connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and the wider Indian Ocean. On a map, it may look like just another sea route, but in reality, it is one of the most strategically important choke points on the earth. Every day, massive oil tankers carrying crude from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE and Iran passes through this narrow channel on their way to the energy-hungry economies like India, China, Japan, South Korea and Europe. In fact, roughly 1/5 of the world's total oil consumption travels through this single waterway. To understand why the Strait of Hormuz matters so much, imagine a global energy system like a highway network. Now imagine if one single bridge carried 20% of the global fuel traffic. If that bridge is blocked, even briefly, the entire system begins to feel the pressure. That is exactly what happens when tensions rise around the Strait of Hormuz. Even the fear of disruption can send oil prices climbing across the global markets. Recently, growing military tensions in the Middle East have raised the alarms about this vital route. There have been attacks on the commercial vessels, drone incidents, and warning from the shipping companies. Some major global shipping firms have already paused or reduced the transit through the strait, fearing the escalation. For oil markets, uncertainty is almost as powerful as disruption itself. For countries like India, the Strait of Hormuz is not just a distant geopolitical issue. India imports over 80% of its oil, and a large share of that energy travels through the exact waterway. If shipments slow down and becomes risky, the impact can be immediate. Higher petrol and diesel prices, increased transportation costs, and ripple effects across the entire economy. If the Strait of Hormuz were ever blocked or severely disrupted, global oil supplies could tighten overnight. Countries might turn to strategic reserves. Oil producers might increase the output, and naval forces could move to secure the route. But even then, markets would react fast, and the consequences could reach far beyond Middle East. Sometimes the world's biggest economic shocks don't start in giant cities or financial markets. They start in narrow passages on the map, places most people rarely think about. And the Strait of Hormuz is one of those places, a tiny corridor that quietly powers the global economy. If you want to understand the forces shaping the world around us, please subscribe.